I am Rachel Moore, 29 years old. My life used to be peaceful, but lately it feels like every day begins and ends in a whirlwind of tension. When did the home I once trusted completely become the place where I feel most lost? Things have happened that make me question how to face myself or the husband I had loved and believed in for so many years. But the most important thing is my little daughter, Ellie, who just turned 5. She's the only light in these dark days. My husband Tyler Moore is 32. We've been together for 7 years and married for 6. We met while working at a financial company in Denver, Colorado. Back then, Tyler was the one who pursued me. He gave me a sense of safety and romance that every girl dreams of. But after marriage, things slowly began to change, especially when his younger sister, April, now 22, started showing up in our family life more frequently. April, Tyler's youngest sibling, is 7 years younger than me. Tyler has always been protective of her since she was a child. Before we got married, I didn't mind his special attention toward her. I even thought it was nice that the two were so close. But after moving in together, I began to notice problems I had never anticipated. April would visit at any time without warning, acting as if our house was her own. She would often come empty-handed, without a polite greeting or any sign of gratitude. At first I tried to be patient, hoping things would settle down. But every time April came over, I was expected to prepare meals for everyone without any help. Tyler never sympathized with me. Instead, he constantly defended his sister. He told me I should understand, because April lived alone, far from home, and needed a place where she could feel comfortable. But what about me? Didn't I deserve to feel comfortable in my own home? Since Ellie was born, I reduced my work hours to have more time to care for her. However, even working part-time still takes up a significant portion of my schedule. Tyler, though, seemed oblivious to the pressure I was under. On days when I longed for rest, April would unexpectedly show up, bringing with her unspoken demands I couldn't refuse. Gradually, I felt like a servant in my own home, and the most heartbreaking part was seeing Ellie, always well-behaved and trying to get her father's attention, only to be ignored whenever April was around. These small changes accumulated day by day, turning into a constant, simmering sadness. I didn't know how much longer I could endure. But I also didn't want Ellie to sense the tension. So I kept telling myself to hold on a little longer, waiting for the right moment to resolve everything. However, life didn't allow me to wait much longer. What happened next forced me to face a harsher reality than I had ever imagined. It was a cold winter evening. I had just finished preparing dinner for the family, and Ellie was happily arranging her favorite toys on the small table near the living room. A long day of work and taking care of Ellie had left me exhausted. But the feeling of sitting down with my daughter and seeing her happiness was the emotional remedy that always helped me find balance. Just then the doorbell rang. I didn't even need to look to know who it was. As expected, April showed up unannounced. She walked in as if she owned the place, without so much as a greeting or thank you. "Where's Tyler? I just got back from the mall and have to tell him all about today," she exclaimed loudly, not even glancing at me or Ellie. Tyler stepped out of his home office, his face lighting up when he saw his sister. He hurried over to greet her as though they hadn't seen each other in ages, even though she had visited just a few days earlier. I sighed quietly and set another place at the table for April, even though no one had asked me to. As everyone sat down to eat, they didn't wait for me. Tyler and April were already deep in conversation about new designer brands, while Ellie quietly ate her food, her eyes looking at me as if to ask, "Why isn't Dad talking to me?" Later, as I was washing the dishes, Tyler suddenly called out from the living room, "Rachel, go out and get a chocolate cake for April. She said she's craving one." I froze for a moment and glanced at the clock. It was almost 9 p.m., freezing cold outside, and Ellie needed to go to bed soon. "Tyler, it's really late. Can it wait until tomorrow?" I tried to keep my tone calm. But Tyler immediately became irritated. "You're always like this. It's just a small thing and you make it difficult. April doesn't ask for much." A lump formed in my throat, but I didn't want to scare Ellie. Reluctantly, I grabbed my coat and decided to take Ellie with me. I didn't want her to stay in the house surrounded by the tension. On the way to the bakery, Ellie tried to comfort me with her innocent voice. "Mom, what's your favorite cake?" I think we should get one with lots of strawberry frosting to make things fun, she said cheerfully. I gave her a weak smile, trying to hide my exhaustion. When we returned home with 2 cakes, one for April and one for Ellie, what happened next left me stunned. As soon as I placed Ellie's strawberry cake on the table, April pointed at it and said, "Oh, that one looks way better." Before I could react, Tyler casually moved Ellie's cake in front of his sister. "Here, April, you can have this one," he said with a big smile. Ellie, just 5 years old, tried to hold back tears and softly protested, "But that's my cake, Dad." Tyler looked at her with indifference and replied coldly, "I pay for everything in this house. I get to decide who gets what." His words felt like a knife cutting into my heart. Ellie bit her lip, trying not to cry out loud, but the hurt in her eyes was unbearable. I quickly took the cake back, placed it in front of her, and looked Tyler straight in the eyes. "You can't treat your daughter like this," I said firmly. Tyler gave me a sharp, annoyed glance but said nothing. Meanwhile, Ellie hugged the cake tightly and whispered, "I don't need to eat anymore, Mom. I just want to play with you." I gently patted her head, my heart breaking at her quiet resilience. That night, I decided to bathe Ellie late and sleep in her room. I couldn't bear to face Tyler or April for another minute. Their laughter echoed from the living room, but I shut it out. Lying in bed with Ellie snuggled against me, I knew deep down that if things continued like this, I wouldn't be able to protect my daughter from the emotional damage this environment was causing. And soon, I would have no choice but to confront the reality I had been avoiding for so long. The next morning, as I was preparing breakfast, Ellie ran in from the living room with tears in her eyes. She grabbed my hand and pointed to the corner of the room where her favorite piggy bank, a gift from her grandparents, was kept. It had been smashed to pieces, and the coins Ellie had carefully saved were gone. "Mom, who did this? I can't find my money," she asked, choking back sobs. My heart ached. Ellie cherished that piggy bank deeply and would whisper goodnight to it every night. I tried to stay calm, wiped her tears, and gently told her to sit down and have breakfast. "Let me ask your dad about what happened," I reassured her, though inside I was filled with suspicion. When Tyler walked into the kitchen, I immediately confronted him about the piggy bank. He shrugged as if it were no big deal. April needed some money urgently, so I told her to take it from there. "Why are you making such a fuss?" he replied coldly. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. How could he so casually take the money Ellie had saved for an entire year just to help his sister? "Do you even realize how upset Ellie is? This isn't just money. It's something she treasures." I raised my voice, unable to hold back my frustration. Tyler scowled and muttered that I was being overly sensitive. "April is family. Don't you understand that? You're making a big deal out of something so trivial," he retorted. A wave of disappointment and anger surged within me. I realized Tyler had placed his sister's needs above everything else, including our own family. I didn't want Ellie to witness any more of this argument, so I forced myself to end the confrontation. But what happened next pushed me into a deeper crisis. That afternoon, while organizing the wardrobe in our bedroom, a stack of documents fell out of a drawer that Tyler usually kept locked. When I picked them up, I froze in shock. They were divorce papers, already filled out and signed by Tyler. The documents outlined the division of assets and stated that he would give up custody of Ellie. My hands trembled as countless questions flooded my mind. Why had he prepared these papers without telling me? Were all the recent conflicts part of a larger plan? I recalled the times when Tyler had pressured me to quit my job and be a full-time homemaker, repeatedly emphasizing that I didn't need to keep my own money. He had even suggested that I sign a post-nuptial agreement about shared property. Now, it all made sense. Tyler wanted control over my finances to use them for April's debts. He probably thought I would never discover his plan. But now that I knew, I couldn't remain silent any longer. I decided that I had to leave this house immediately. I couldn't let Ellie grow up in an environment full of lies and injustice. I gathered some essential belongings and took Ellie to my parents' house, which wasn't far away. As soon as we walked in, my mom saw the distressed look on my face and gently asked, "What happened, Rachel?" I told them everything. About April, Tyler, and the divorce papers I had discovered. My dad, who was usually calm, couldn't hide his anger. You did the right thing by bringing Ellie here. We won't let that man and his sister hurt you anymore, he said firmly. My mom hugged both me and Ellie and softly whispered, "Take a rest, Rachel. You're safe now." I felt a sense of relief but knew this was only the beginning of the legal and emotional battle ahead. I wasn't afraid anymore. For Ellie's sake, I would do everything to protect her and reclaim the life we deserved. I sat in my parents' living room, burdened by thoughts of what I needed to do next. My dad reached out to a friend who was an experienced lawyer specializing in divorce and child custody cases. I knew this wouldn't be a quick or easy process, but the support from my family gave me a sense of security. After just one meeting with the lawyer, I was given clear instructions on how to gather the evidence needed to protect myself and Ellie. "Rachel, the most important thing is to record Tyler's words and any unusual behavior, especially when he talks about finances or custody. This will be crucial evidence," the lawyer advised. That evening, Tyler kept calling me repeatedly. I finally decided to answer to assess the situation. He started the conversation with a seemingly gentle but loaded tone. "Rachel, where are you? Come home, we need to talk," he said as if nothing had happened. I remained calm, pretending not to know about the divorce papers. "I don't see anything to talk about. I need some time to think," I replied shortly. After a few minutes of back and forth, Tyler lost patience. His tone shifted to criticism and blame. "You really think you can just leave and take Ellie without any consequences?" he said, his voice growing harsher. I quietly activated the recording feature on my phone. He continued, "You know how bad things are financially for me and April. We're in trouble, and I need your money. If you don't help, you'll see how those divorce papers work in my favor." His words confirmed all my suspicions. Tyler and his sister were drowning in debt, and he intended to use me as a financial lifeline. After the call, I sent the recording to my lawyer, who responded positively. "This is excellent evidence, Rachel. We'll use it to negotiate both custody and asset division," he reassured me. A few days later, I received more information from Tyler's parents. Apparently, they had also learned about the significant debt April had accumulated due to her gambling and reckless shopping habits. Tyler's parents were deeply disappointed to discover that their son had co-signed loans for April, dragging both of them into a financial crisis. In a brief phone call, my mother-in-law didn't bother to hide her frustration. "Rachel, I'm sorry for what Tyler and April have done. Our family will no longer support them," she said with a stern tone. This only strengthened my resolve. Tyler and April now had no other financial support to rely on but me, and I wasn't going to let that happen. I began working closely with my lawyer to complete the legal process. The divorce papers were officially filed in court, along with evidence of Tyler's behavior, including the phone recording and other documents. Tyler had not expected me to act so quickly and decisively. He started calling and texting me more frequently. Sometimes he apologized, and other times he threatened me, but I ignored every call. I knew his shifting behavior was a sign that he was losing control. My lawyer also advised me not to let myself be emotionally manipulated during this phase. In the following days, life at my parents' house began to settle. Ellie gradually became happier, her worried expression from our old home fading away. I spent more time with her, taking her to the park and reading bedtime stories. These moments reminded me that I was doing the right thing, not just for myself, but for Ellie as well. Eventually, Tyler had no choice but to sign the divorce agreement. My lawyer negotiated terms where he agreed to pay $400 in monthly child support for Ellie, and had no right to interfere in her upbringing. In a final phone call, Tyler admitted defeat. "Rachel, I was wrong. I'm sorry, but I guess it's too late to fix anything now. I just hope you'll be happy," he said. I ended the call, feeling a wave of relief for the first time in what felt like forever. I knew this wasn't a perfect ending, but at least Ellie and I had found peace. This was a new beginning for us, and I would never let anyone destroy it again. After Tyler signed the divorce agreement, it felt like a massive burden had been lifted from my shoulders. The process had gone more smoothly than I had expected, thanks to the thorough preparation and strong evidence my lawyer presented in court. Tyler agreed to pay Ellie $400 a month in child support and relinquished any right to interfere in her care. However, that wasn't the most important thing to me anymore. What I truly wanted was a fresh start, a life where Ellie and I could be happy without the weight of control or pressure. A few weeks after the divorce, I returned to working full-time at the interior design firm I had helped establish before getting married. At first, I was worried about balancing work and caring for Ellie, but thankfully, my former colleagues were incredibly supportive. Paul, the company's director, even offered me a project management position, confident that I could bring fresh and creative ideas to upcoming designs. Ellie also adapted quickly to our new life. She was adored by her grandparents who spoiled her in the best way, but she remained well-behaved and cheerful. On evenings when I worked late, my mom would always pick Ellie up from preschool and cook her favorite meals. One evening, as we sat together at the dinner table, Ellie suddenly asked, "Mom, are we going to live here forever? It's a lot better than the old house." Her words hit me like a pang in my heart, but I smiled and gently replied, "Yes, sweetie, we'll stay here, and we'll always be happy together." My work at the company gave me a sense of freedom and autonomy that I had lost during my marriage to Tyler. I was involved in several important projects, including a design contract for a luxury hotel chain. The long, productive days reignited my passion for work, a flame that had never truly gone out. For the first time in years, I felt like I was living for myself, and not to meet anyone else's expectations. Gradually, the positive changes in my and Ellie's life became part of a new routine. Every morning we would have breakfast together and talk about exciting things for the day ahead. Ellie eagerly shared stories about her new friends and games at preschool. On weekends, I often took her to the park, museums, or the movies. We created beautiful memories, slowly healing the scars left by our past. One day, while sorting through old documents, I came across a wedding photo of me and Tyler. Looking at the face in the picture, I no longer felt sadness or regret. Instead, there was a sense of calm and relief. I had overcome the pain, and that gave me confidence in the future. I knew I wasn't alone on this journey. My family, friends, and most importantly Ellie, had all helped me rediscover myself. I decided to host a small party at my parents' house to thank them and celebrate the beginning of a new chapter in my life. Ellie was thrilled to help me decorate and choose the food for the party. Surrounded by the laughter and warmth of loved ones, I realized that I had truly made it through the hardest part. This was where I belonged, and I was no longer afraid of challenges ahead. At the end of the party, my mom hugged me and whispered, "You did it, Rachel. Now go live a happy life." I smiled, feeling a deep sense of peace for the first time in a long while. I knew there would still be unexpected challenges ahead, but now I was ready to face them. I would continue building a future for myself and Ellie, a future we both deserved. Rachel Moore's story is one of healing, freedom, and happiness. After enduring years of control, injustice, and betrayal from her husband, Rachel bravely stood up to protect herself and her daughter. She chose to divorce, rebuild her life with her family's support, restore her career, and provide Ellie with an environment filled with love and security. Her journey highlights the power of inner strength, resilience, and the importance of reclaiming one's worth after deep emotional wounds. What are your thoughts on Rachel Moore's journey and the choices she made to protect herself and her daughter? Share your thoughts below. Don't forget to follow the channel for more inspiring and heartfelt stories about family life.